Hey everybody, this is Joe the Bluesman's Traditional Kitchen. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late. I usually like to drop this video about the 20th, around the third week of the month. I'm a little bit late because I'm a little recovering. If you remember the end of the last video I made, I said that I might do something related to the Super Bowl, especially should the Chiefs get into the Super Bowl. Well, they're in, baby. I, the Bluesman, have been waiting 50 years for this. I watched the Chiefs on their last Super Bowl, Super Bowl 4. This is Super Bowl 54. So that, do the math, I've been waiting 50 years for this again. I remember the very first Super Bowl was the Green Bay Packers and the Chiefs. They didn't call it the Super Bowl then. And it was not even televised. It was in Los Angeles, and I lived in Huntington Beach. So that was within the same television market, so it was blacked out. So I remember listening to it on the radio, like I did the Indy 500 and the Muhammad Ali, back then Cassius Clay fights. Now you know how old I am. I am going to make, one of the reasons I was a little late also is I actually had made a production using my father's traditional Kansas City barbecue sauce. Then word of that got to some of my family, and I was held hostage and threatened, etc., for giving away my father's barbecue sauce recipe, which I understand it's a very, very special recipe, and should you meet me and you ask for it, I'll give it to you. Whoa! But I will. But I won't put it on for the whole world to find out. But it's very, very similar to this recipe. I actually, full disclosure, I found this recipe on the Food Network. You can find it. It's a Kansas City barbecue sauce. And that's what this is. My dad was born and raised in Kansas City. He knew it's barbecue. And I was going to do something barbecuing, but I actually don't have a barbecue. So let's do a little definitions here. Barbecue is something that takes hours and hours and hours. What most of us do in our backyard is grilling. Nothing wrong with grilling, but it's not barbecue. Barbecue is much more akin to smoking. Because barbecue, the important thing about barbecue, and when you go to Kansas City, it's the wood smoke flavor. And pitmasters will hold very secret their recipe of the combinations of woods they use and etc. to get the smoke, to get the flavor they know. So what we got going on here today, I'm going to make a typical Kansas City barbecue sauce. And what I've got started here for you so far is I've got 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, 6 cloves of garlic, and a couple tablespoons of oil. I'm going to use this. I'm going to stir this around. I personally like, on something like this, to use a heat-proof silicone spatula, because this is really thick. You're going to do lots of mixing. And this you need to cook. I need to get it loose. But right away, we'll be adding a bunch of the spices. Now, Kansas City barbecue sauce, in my opinion, what makes it different than others is the tanginess. You'll often get, and especially my father's was a very hot and spicy, well, sweet and spicy, you might call it. And you'll see that, though, there's some famous guy out there, David or something, he has one of those kind of sauces, and probably at KC, Masters, etc. They all seem to have something like that. So while we're heating this, let's move that down a little bit. We don't want it to cook too fast. I'm talking a lot here. I need to get working. Okay, I have to now, because this is not a recipe I've done very often. I do have a written down, and I have it close by right here so I can verify what it is I'm doing. Okay, we're going to start out with something Kansas City chili. Kansas City, all the Kansas City things are very popular with is chili powder. Now, I was going to scoop that, so let's do it this way. We're going to do a heaping tablespoon. Heaping. And that means don't worry about it. Okay, we're going to do that. Okay, that's chili powder. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we're going to do a tablespoon of paprika. That's a lot of paprika. But there again, like I was talking, we're doing hot, sort of a spicy thing going on. So we got that going on. I know I'm not as organized. I'm trying to move up in technology on these videos, folks. We'll see how successful this is. This is actually, I'm using a new method of recording this. We'll see how well that works. Okay, bringing in some more heat. I'm bringing in the red chili flakes. 1 teaspoon of those. Okay, and 1 teaspoon, no, a 1/4 teaspoon. Now I got a 1/2 teaspoon measure here, so I'll just have to guesstimate at that. I don't have 1/4. Maybe some of you folks do. I don't. So I'm going to do a eyeball measurement, 1/4 of allspice. Then it calls for a little pinch, whatever pinch. I actually had a set of these once that had pinch and smudge and all that. I think you can get that at that Williams-Sonoma kind of place. So I'm just going to throw a little of the clove in there, ground clove. I'm going to stir all that up. You need to cook this for about 3 minutes to get it brick red, as the recipe calls for. Frankly, it's already brick red, but it's still, the tomato paste is still quite gooey and needs to loosen up here a little bit. So I'm going to keep cooking this, keep stirring it. You don't want it to burn. While I'm doing this, I'm going to go into my Reverend Joe hat for a minute and do a little preaching. Folks, respect what you put in your body. Respect what you eat. Make every meal a glorious moment, a glorious time. And by doing that, you need to do the whole process. And learn to enjoy going shopping. Learn to go make your recipe. It's not unusual for me to make my weekly recipe when I go shopping. I don't do it more. I don't stretch it out more than a week if I'm doing something like that. But I like to go see what's good, fresh, what's in season, etc. at the store. And I'm talking Kroger's. You know, you don't have to do Fresh Market or Whole Foods or any of that. If you want to do that, that's certainly your option. But you can do inspired cooking at your regular Kroger's, absolutely. And you'll find things that you weren't planning to get. And then when you do that, I got some beef ribs not too long ago because they looked really good. They were on special at the Kroger's. I bought them. And I didn't want to do, usually you do the slow cook, etc. So I looked up another recipe. Got to frankly admit, I don't remember what the recipe was, but the wife and I both enjoyed it very much. And so really refrain from those HelloFresh and those kits. I'm too lazy to go shopping and I don't know how to cook kits. You do know how to cook. Jeez, everything's on Facebook, boys and girls. You can find whatever you need on Facebook to learn how to cook virtually anything you want. Not Facebook. What am I talking about? Old Kroger. YouTube, right where we are here right now. And then there's cookbooks. I personally like cookbooks. Now that I live in a motorhome, I can't keep very many. I still have a few. Okay, we got a brick red thing going on here, so we're going to start putting in the massive amounts of liquids. Okay, we got 2 cups of ketchup, just standard old, regular old ketchup. Okay. And we'll probably want to turn the heat up on this a little bit now, because we got a lot more going on. And now I'm going to put in a 1/4 cup of vinegar, cider vinegar. Not a lot. Now, some of these, I'm not a fan, frankly, of the southern barbecue sauces. Texas is not bad, frankly, but I'm not a fan at all of the Carolinas, Memphis, Tennessee. Those kind of barbecue sauces are very heavy on cider vinegar or some sort of vinegar. Now, I grew up in an Italian household, and vinegar, that's spoiled wine. So I just don't like it. I don't use it. You need vinegar. You need the acid in the food you make. Absolutely. That's part of your taste component. I'm just not fond of vinegar. But this does call for some vinegar because you need it. Okay, I'm going to use the same container so I can use the water. 2 cups of water, kind of wash out my same container here. Make sure I get as much of the ketchup as I can. We don't want to waste any ingredients because everything costs us money because I actually go to the store and shop. Okay, then I got a 1/4 cup of molasses I'm going to be putting in here. Now that's a tough one to get melted down, huh? That's one of the reasons I like to use the spatula. It's soft, pliable, and I can get things like this molasses out of here a little better. Okay, maybe I can even do something like this. Okay, we're stirring. What we need to do right now is get this up, because I really want to get this to a boil, then down to a simmer. You never get anything as thick as it can be until you get it to the boil, and then you take it to a simmer. Okay, and now we got a 1/4 cup of brown, firmly packed dark brown sugar. Okay, I'm going to stir that, make sure that all mixes in. So the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. Very, very, very happy about that. They're going to play San Francisco. And that's quite interesting. I spent a lot of the 1980s in the Bay Area, certainly the mid-1980s, and that was the glory days of Joe Montana, right? Remember him? And Jerry Rice, and those were the great 49er days. And I used to, every time they were in the Super Bowl, because let me be honest, they're my favorite NFC team. I've been a Chiefs fan since '63. Was frankly, a tag along for the 49ers because they were so good. I was in the Bay Area. So anyway, I used to always make Cioppino. So had the Chiefs not been in this Super Bowl and it had been the 49ers, I'd probably be rooting for the 49ers and making a big bowl of Cioppino, and I'd be showing you how to do that. Maybe. I am in Arkansas right now, filming this in central Arkansas, and the possibility of getting good fresh seafood, I don't know. So if I couldn't get the good fresh seafood, I wouldn't have done Cioppino. I would have done something else, San Francisco related. But we're not doing San Francisco today because we are rooting and planning on a Chiefs win. All right, now we're going to move on to the next ingredients. We're going to do a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire, however you say it. We're going to put that in there now. We're going to do a 1/4 or the same amount, a tablespoon, where is the 1/4, of soy sauce. There's a big salt component right there. You notice I haven't put salt in this yet. Okay. Now we're going to do a few squirts. I'm less scientific about the mustard, and the recipe actually calls for an English mustard. I like the spiciness of good old American tangy mustard, so I'm going to squirt some of that in there. And we got to give this all a good stir. Let's start putting lids back on. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, now something I just spoke about we hadn't done, we do need to do. I like a lot of pepper. So I'm going to put quite a few grinds of nice fresh ground pepper. Only way the pepper. Got to do it fresh. And then I personally like kosher salt. Less than, I don't care for sea salt as much. It's actually very salty. And then be careful if you're using Himalaya pinks and things like that. Those are very, very salty. They all have their place. But when I'm cooking, I just like to use standard kosher salt, coarse kosher salt. That way I can feel it. I like to measure by my fingertips on something like salt. All right, this is smelling very good. Smelling like a barbecue sauce. I have not got a boil yet. I'm going to turn it up a little. Oh, turn it up a little bit more. We're darn close. I'm starting to get a lot of movement, that waver on the top before a boil. So in any case, I'm going to clean up my mess here a little bit. This is going to keep cooking. This needs to cook for about 30 minutes. The more you condense it, the more intense the flavor will be. But we're going to shoot for about 30 minutes. So I will be back when this is done. But in the meantime, watch for this. All right. While that is simmering down, and we're going to be making that delicious sauce, I'm going to do a little traditional tune. suitcase in my hand. I followed her to the station with a suitcase in my hand. Well, you know it, it's so hard to tell when all my love's in when the train left within the station. Well, I looked in the eye when the train pulled in the station. I looked her in the eye. Well, you know it makes me so sad and lonesome. I just want to lay down and cry. When the train left the station, now they had two lights on behind. When the train left the station, had two lights on behind. You know, the blue light was my baby when the red light was mine. When all my love's in vain. Well, as you see, this is recorded live. Ain't no retakes or do takes or double takes or back takes or any kind of take but the take that it takes. But let's go check on that Kansas City barbecue sauce so you're ready for your tailgate party Sunday. Okay, here we are back in front of the stove. The barbecue sauce is all simmering away, simmering quite nicely. I personally want it to cook down even more. I like my sauce to be a little bit thick. This still has some simmering to do, but the flavor is there. You got your sweet, your spicy, definitely spicy. You got to get that ting, the chili powder, the red chili flakes, all come in to make that really nice spice to counter the sweet. You got the powder, the powdered sugar, the molasses, etc. And then, of course, a little ting thrown in with that vinegar. Now, this has got to cook down a while. And then when it's done, you're going to make quite a bit here, so it's not like you're going to use it in one day. So you're going to need to store it. And you can put jars, mason jars, etc. Or you can find jars like this. You know, you've seen the chefs on TV use these, and they're wonderful ways of storing products that you make, sauces and the like. It comes with a squirt. If you don't want to squirt it for a while, you can put plastic over it and then put that on top, and that'll seal it so you don't have the air onto it, etc. Some of these, this one I believe you can. If nothing else, you can put a little tape on it and date when you do this so that you don't have to wonder if this has grown fuzz on it or anything of that nature. So in any case, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to be cooking it down. And I'm going to cook it down for a little while longer, but you don't necessarily need to hang out for that. Any of you want to hang out on the front porch here, I'm going to be playing some more, and we're going to be cooking later. And this stuff goes great on grilled food. Remember, grilled is what you're doing at your house, unless you're one of those luckier ones that really are committed to doing the long-term barbecue. That's an all-day thing. When I would barbecue at home, I would get up at about 3 in the morning. I would have my wood all set up in the pit and etc. And then I'd get up very early and then I'd start it, because I personally don't like starting a fire and then going back to bed and etc. So I would have to get up and then hang out. I would get the lounge chair or whatever and sort of doze, sleep, relax outside. And I wouldn't do it very often. My wife has asthma, so I couldn't do a whole lot of heavy duty smoke like that. But a couple times a year I would absolutely get out there and smoke up the neighborhood. Everyone knew I was doing it because you could smell it, and it was delicious. So get out there and cook. Make your own family traditions. And I assure you, those traditions will not come from calling for a box of food online. Get out there, shop, find what you want, create your recipes, and make your own family traditions. Until next month, this is Joe, the Bluesman's Traditional Kitchen. Go cheap, eat some barbecue, drink a little, be safe, be careful. Love y'all. Till next month.